Hello everyone, welcome to Practical C++ Programming, the beginner course. My name is Zach, and in this tutorial we will be discussing switch statements. Now, as I said in the previous tutorial, a switch statement is basically just an alternative to an if statement, but they are used in different scenarios. Now, I'm going to go ahead and kind of give you an example of what a switch statement looks like and then discuss to you how it works. So, going to go ahead and type out everything. Right here is where the switch statement starts. Okay. Oops. You put everything in brackets. Go ahead and give you some room. And then you put your cases in. So here is our switch statement, the basic functionality of a switch statement. Okay, and I typed it out because I just kind of want you to follow along. It's going to be easier for me to explain it to you like this. So here we have a variable called grade, and our grade is a B, okay? And then below that we have our switch statement defined in these brackets right here, everything in these brackets, okay? So basically, to define a switch statement, you write the word switch, and then in parentheses next to it, you put the variable that you are analyzing. In this case, it's grade. So we put grade here. And then, in your brackets, you put your cases. So you put case, and then what you're comparing the grade to. In this case, we're comparing it to different letter grades. So the first one is case A. And here, you enter more brackets, and you put the code that you want for case A. So, you made a 90 or above. And then, on case B, you do the same thing. You can put your code here. You made a 80 or above. And you can repeat that for each of these, and I'm going to go ahead and do it here so that you get full visualization of how the switch statement works. Then case F, you failed. So basically, what's happening here is this code runs. We have a grade of a B, and then we look in the switch statement. We tell the switch statement to analyze grade, which is a B. So right here is grade, the variable that we're analyzing. And we say, is it an A? Well, no, it's not. Is it a B? Well, yes, it is. So we're going to run this code. Is it a C? Well, no, it's not. Is it an F? Well, no, it's not. So this is the only code that should get ran. But I want to show you something real quick so that you can see what happens before I fix it. Let's go ahead and run this program. And you can see it says you made an 80 or above, you made a 70 or above, you failed. Well, that's interesting because we made a B. It said everything except A. But once it got to B, it basically did all the code below B. And that's because in a switch statement, you need to add a break. And to do that, after all your code, you say break. And you do that at the end of each case to tell it to leave the switch statement. Because switch statements have what I like to call a waterfall effect. Meaning if you don't put your break in right here on this code to break from this switch statement, then once this is true, it's going to waterfall down into the rest of the code, the rest of the switch statement code. So if we took out this break statement right here, it should run the B code and then run the C code before it breaks. And let's check it out. As you can see, it said you made an 80 or above, you made a 70 or above, because it didn't break from the switch statement until it got right here. So what we need to change is, of course, if we just add a break here, you'll see that it says you made an 80 or above because our grade is a B. And just to kind of show you how we can further this, let's do grade, and then we'll say something like enter a grade, enter a letter grade, okay? And then let's use CN to hold our grade. And then let's watch how this switch statement is used. So enter a letter grade. We're going to enter F. It says you failed because basically it went through the switch statement. It put the grade that we entered in here in the switch statement, analyzed it, looked for the case. Is it an A? No. Is it a B? No. Is it a C? No. Is it an F? Yes. You failed. And that's how a switch statement works, okay? So let's run it one more time. We're going to enter in, let's enter in an A. It says you made a 90 or above. So that's the basic functionality of a switch statement. And you can see how it's very similar to an if statement by checking which condition is met. And like an else statement in an if statement, a switch statement also has something similar to else, which is called default. So if we wanted to take out this F, we can just say default you made an, or you failed, which is the same thing as saying is if none of these are true, then obviously he failed. Let's go to the default switch statement, which is he failed. If we run that and we enter in an F, or let's even enter in a D, it'll say you failed, because if we enter in a D, obviously A, B, and C aren't a D, so it's going to go to the default and just say you failed. But you know, obviously if I enter a Z, that same code is going to run because it's neither A, B, or C. So if you wanted to restrict the user to only entering the correct letter grades, what you would probably want to do is say something along the lines of case F, and then output you failed in line. And then on the default, you could say something like you entered an invalid letter grade. And now when you run the code, if it's not A, B, C, or F, if you enter something like R, it'll say you entered an invalid letter grade because it's going to the default. So that's the basic functionality of switch statements, and I will see you in the next tutorial.